Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me this evening for this meditation session. Today is going to be our last class in this meditation series. We started this last Sunday. This may continue in the coming week, but for now, I just wanted to end this for this week and probably restart with a different topic. Today, as we have been seeing in the past week, we're going to take a new verse from Master Dogen and look into the meaning of it. So let's begin. So please take a look at the verse on the screen. If there is a fish that would swim only investigating the entire ocean, it would find neither path nor place. If there is a fish that would swim only investigating the entire ocean, it would find neither the path nor the place. So what does this mean? If we look at this literally, it says, if a fish, as we all know, the nature of a fish is to swim in water. So that's the nature of fish. That's the home of the fish, where it lives, in water. So let's assume that that fish, which is very comfortable in water, which knew how to swim, that same fish, if it thinks that it can only swim after investigating the entire ocean, the fish is investigating how this ocean is, how this ocean has come into existence. What is this ocean? What are the things that are in this ocean? If the fish starts investigating, the key word here is investigation. When the fish starts to investigate the entire ocean, and then he wants to maybe live in that same ocean, Dogen says it would find neither the path nor the place. The fish is never going to find its path nor its place. I think you can get the meaning right away from this phrase. So when someone who wants to get into spirituality, let's say someone wants to learn meditation, let's say someone wants to know this spiritual path, people are talking about this and I wanted to explore. If someone comes with that thinking and attitude, and then he starts to see things around them, right? Sometime back, when I was talking to someone, she told me, she used this phrase called spiritual shopping, right? We all do that, spiritual shopping. What does this mean? I go and read a scripture here and see if that is agreeable to me, whether this scripture is talking the same language, what I wish to hear. And then after some time, you feel that this scripture is not that conducive to me. I just want to try something else. And then you go and pick up a new scripture or a new school of thought, or you go to a different teacher, different schools of philosophies, and you keep going. This way of approaching spirituality, I think that friend put that in a nice phrase, spiritual shopping. So what is going to happen when you jump from one to the next, and the next? You'll be simply browsing. You are never going to buy. This is what we call as investigating, analyzing. Yes, in the beginning, it is important for you to see what this is all about, but it cannot go endlessly. Many of us do that for the whole lifetime. We think that is spirituality. We think I am in the path, but you are not. Because you are simply going from one place to another, and keep on going, and then not settling down to try it. That is what we are lacking today. We are simply looking at things, but we are not willing to try because we are deep down in our heart, we are afraid. We are scared to take the jump. We spend all our energies and time and try to intellectually understand what this is, but we are not willing to take the jump. That fear is still there. And if you think a little bit deeper about this, that fear is being created by your mind. The very existence of your mind is based on these fears. So when you are able to understand the mind, when you're able to get rid of this fear, you just jump in right away. Who is holding you is your own mind. Your mind is the one which stops you to experience the spiritual glory to its fullest extent. It is all there, it's all available to you, but the mind holds you back because of the fear. You need to expose the entire mind. You need to come out of all these fears and all the shortcomings, all the attachment to your own thoughts and ideas, and then make the jump. This is similar to what Dogen says. It's like a fish. A fish lives in water. It knows how to swim because this is their natural environment. In the same way, we are in the same situation. We have the same kind of nature in every one of us. We know how to swim. No one has to teach this. But we are looking at this ocean and see whether I can make the jump or not. I'm still thinking, analyzing, and we're not making the jump. So Dogen says, if you are belonging to that kind of fish, you will never find the way. You need to find the way. You need to find the way and walk. This is like, I can teach you all that I can on how to drive a car. It's like reading an instruction manual, how to drive a car. You can read as many books as you want. All the manuals in the world. There are so many cars, trucks, right? But you have to someday sit in the driver's seat and drive the car. Only when you drive the car, then you get the real experience of how driving is giving that kind of feeling. Until then, you will never know. So that's exactly what Dogen is trying to tell us. Make the jump. You don't need anyone to push you into that. You have to make the decision. Unless you make the decision and practice, go in that path. Any amount of listening to lectures, any amount of reading scriptures will not give you that experience. It is like, we all know this example. I can talk a good deal about a specific food. Unless you taste it for yourself, you will never know. But many of us are doing window shopping. We just look at all these beautiful things, and then we don't have the courage to take and taste it. Dogen says, you have to make the jump and then go and experience it yourself. I just read a phrase from Swami Vivekananda. He says, religion or God or any spiritual experience cannot be received by someone by reading books. We all know this, right? He is one of the enlightened people. So he says this, any amount of reading the scriptures will not bring closer to God or religion. So we're not trying to go near to God. That's something beyond our reach, right? We are still struggling. So, what is the important thing that we need to learn? So, when you do this kind of spiritual shopping, we are trying to do this from our own limited senses. Yesterday, we talked about the limited brain. We are going to talk about limited senses today. When you are approaching spirituality, when you are trying to understand what is meditation, you are using your existing is a keyword here, your existing knowledge about spirituality, your existing experience, maybe very rudimentary or much more. We are approaching with that sense. Whatever we are receiving through our senses, our eyes, our ears, and your reading, all of these are just at the sense level. But you are trying to understand which is something beyond these five senses, beyond our consciousness, your brain, mind, your senses, your experience with life. You need to, you are trying to understand something beyond all this using your own senses, which are very limited at this time, which we don't have the complete exposure to what these things are. So when you try to do this spiritual shopping with this limited sense, you will never get there. So what is the solution for this? The only solution is, instead of doing this shopping, instead of using our senses to see what these different paths are, you need to make the jump, get rid of all the scriptures, get rid of all the books you have read, stop going around, and then make the jump. If you are in one specific spiritual path, try to go into it deeply. That's when your search stops. Otherwise, the search will go on. You will never get to reach to that state. Many people will continue doing it. There's nothing wrong with it. There will come a time when you need to make that jump. A long time back, when I was talking to my teacher, so he is from Taiwan, now he lives in Taiwan. When I was talking to him, there was somebody else who was asking this question to him. So the question was, we all the time talk about this one guy from Bodh Gaya, right? Sakyamuni Buddha. Why don't we talk about any other Buddha? He born and died some 2400 years before. Are there no other Buddhas after that? So this was a question asked by the student. At that time, we were in the basic levels of classes. So the answer given to my teacher to him was, yes, there are many Buddhas, but we don't know. The answer was this, right? We were just casually saying this. Yeah, there are many Buddhas, but we don't know. And then I asked him the same thing. Why did you answer this way? So he told me that unless you are in that state, at least to some extent, whatever explanation I'm going to give to you, that there are so many other people who have realized the same kind of thing which Shakyamuni Buddha attained, you're not going to get it. So therefore, no amount of explanation will be useful to you. Which means all these support are necessary in the beginning, but you have to walk the path. There is a good word for this, which in Chinese, they call this as Dao. Dao means the path. What is this path? The path everyone must take in order to get to that realization. It's not even realization, the path which you walk. That means the way you live. This has to be with the natural environment, as if you are a fish. If you are a fish and you are in the ocean, you know that you are in the ocean. The ocean may not seem like an alien environment, right? It's a natural environment. And then you know how to swim. That swimming is the path. You have to walk the path. You have to live that life. So that's why we talk about all these spiritual practices. So later on, when I went back to my teacher, When I read about some of these scriptures, right now I'm reading Dogen, when you go through each of those phrases, just one phrase is enough. You don't have to go through all the poems. Just one poem is enough. So when you read this, you can understand that enlightenment this master has got. That's what he is trying to give it to us. When you read some of the old scriptures, there is a specific scripture which talks about mindfulness. It's a very long scripture. It's a sutra, and it has so many different topics. What we are teaching to the current generation or current world is maybe the first 10 or 20 lines from the sutra. There is a lot more, thousands of lines, right? So that book contains all the different meditation which are needed for being completely mindful every moment. So that's the book, such a powerful and informational book. The whole thing is being packaged into 2 lines. That's the beauty of Dogen. We read about some of the phrases before. I still remember the mind and the Buddha. No mind, no Buddha. The entire sutra is captured in those 2 lines. So when you read that, when you have that understanding, when you know that what he is talking about, then you know here is a Buddha. He didn't live 2400 years ago. He lived in the 12th, 14th century, right? Not too far away. Even today, there are Buddhas around us. But do we have the eyes to see? No, we're still shopping. We need to go beyond our senses and jump into that path. Start practicing, start seeing things for yourself. And then you realize you may start looking around and see many Buddhas around you, enlightened people. I'm not talking about gods or people with magical powers. I'm talking about people like you and me, having that greatest understanding and experience with which when you go and walk that path in life, it's going to be very easy, no more stress, because you have the highest understanding of life, and each and everything you are going to do in your daily life is going to come out fantastically. This will give you joy. This is important. So when you do a task, let's say you are preparing for an examination, when you do that with all this love and dedication, because you understand what life is, and then when you go about doing that, it's going to give you joy. It's not about getting the right number of the best scores after the examination. Even by doing this, you are going to get that joy. This joy is not only for you, it's going to help you, your family, your community. This is going to give you joy for everybody. So that is a path. So all of us need to take. So Master Dogen is talking about that.